Today I want to talk you through what hearing aids are like in real life, and specifically a week with hearing aids. What the first days typically feel like, why your own voice can sound strange, and how to set realistic expectations so you don't feel frustrated or disappointed early on. My name is Daniel, and welcome to Earman Dan. This is a channel where I talk about all things hearing issues and hearing solutions, especially for people in Australia. Now, let's get into today's video. Today, we are talking, as I mentioned, about the early week, the first week of wearing hearing aids. So if you're considering getting hearing aids for the first time, or you've just been fitted, I hope that this video will save you a lot of frustration. One of the biggest reasons for getting frustrated or disappointed early in that journey is expecting that hearing aids feel like glasses. With glasses, you just kind of put them on and bang, you see clearly again straight away. With hearing aids, you're not just amplifying sound. That's not what they are doing. You're essentially introducing or reintroducing information to the brain that may have been missing for years. So in the first week, it's really not about perfection. In a matter of fact, I always tell my clients in the first couple of weeks, I only want to achieve two things: that you can wear your hearing devices all day long and that you can do so comfortably. I'm not even looking for benefit in the first week or two. If there is some, great, but if there's not, I'm absolutely not worried. Remember that understanding speech, and we had covered that in an earlier video, that's a result of what the brain makes from what the ears hear. So if your brain hasn't had full sound input for a very long time, it has adapted to that lack of stimulation and that lower sound input. And it has learned to work around missing pieces. It is guessing, lip reading, avoiding noises, turning subtitles on even without noticing, and asking people to repeat. And that's quite normal when you're going through that hearing loss stage where the hearing loss is not as noticeable, and it's just a gradual process. So when we then suddenly give the brain more sound input again, the first reaction is, whoa, everything is like really, really loud. There's too much going on. Even paper sounds annoying. But my car keys are noisy, and I didn't even realize that the fridge makes a sound at all. That's not a sign that the hearing aids are wrong or wrongly programmed. That's usually just a sign that your brain is hearing details again. The biggest thing in the first week is actually that you're hearing your own voice very differently, and you can hear all the noises that you cause in your day-to-day life. So let me take you through a week with hearing aids and a realistic timeline and how that could roughly look like. On day one, you would basically experience, oh, this is different, and it's a lot. There's a lot going on. The first 48 hours are often kind of the biggest shock. You might notice that everyday sounds seem really sharp or overly crisp. Again, paper, cutlery, crockery, those type of things. You even hear that background noises feel so much more noticeable, exactly what you actually didn't want, but we come to that at a later stage, why that's important. You're aware that you've got something stuck in your ears, and you may feel tired a little sooner because your brain is now processing so much more information, but that will all settle down. What I always tell my patients to do, in the beginning, start at home, one-on-one conversation, in quiet, watch TV, read, just be at home, rather than like testing them out at a massive family dinner in the loudest coffee shop or restaurant. That's often not going to work in the first few days. What's also important is keep notes for your audiologist, right? Let them know what worked, what didn't work. That helps your audiologist or your hearing care professional to adjust the settings based on your real life, what you have experienced, not on theory, what could potentially be. Now, when we come to day 3, 4, or 5, you would notice that I'm hearing more, but speech isn't perfect yet. Around the middle of the week or so, most people say I can hear more things, but I still struggle hearing in noise. And that is very normal. Obviously, speech understanding and background noise is the hardest situation, even for people with normal hearing. So we would expect that to be hard even with hearing aids. And if you've had hearing loss for many years, your brain will need some time to process that and get to its maximum benefit. That will actually take a few months to achieve that. What I always say at this stage, practice a challenging but manageable situation kind of once a day or so. Go on a small family dinner in a home environment, but not a busy restaurant yet. And then what's also really important, face the speaker. So look at the person that's talking to you, try to reduce the distance, choose better seating if that's necessary. And don't be afraid to tell your friends and family that you're currently adjusting to new hearing aids, and they may need a little bit of patience in the beginning. That normally doesn't last very long. What's really important is that you can see what the person is saying, because that actually helps the brain analyze the speech sounds, because it can hear something and then the eyes can confirm what that was. So that's really, really important. Now, when we go to the end of the first week, most people have kind of 1 out of 2 experiences. It is clearly helping, but you want fine-tuning. So you have already noticed benefit, but you still need a little bit more clarity or things like that. Or the other group of people is, it's not what you expected, and you're worried and a bit frustrated if you may have made the wrong decisions. If you're in group number 2 and you're a bit worried, you're not getting the outcome that you wanted, the most important thing I have to say here is the first week is not the week to make a decision. Don't decide in the first week that the hearing aids just don't work for you and give up. The first week is just where we gather essential basic information. The real improvement often happens over the next few weeks, even months actually, with consistent use and follow-up care. Week 1 is actually where we just gather information. The real improvement happens over the next few weeks with follow-up care and consistent use. And that is why best practice principles actually say that you should assess the function and the benefit of the hearing aids around 6 to 8 weeks after wearing the devices full time. That's really important because it does take that time to fully get used to the initial kind of new hearing. I want to talk briefly about the own voice issue, because that is something that we pretty much get, I would say, with every single client that gets hearing aids for the first time. Let's talk about why your own voice sounds different. A very common complaint in the first few days is that my own voice sounds like I'm talking through like a megaphone or a microphone. My voice echoes. I sound like I'm in a barrel. And there are 2 main reasons for that. First is the occlusion effect. It's kind of the blocked ear effect, so to speak. When you speak normally, your tongue makes the jaw vibrate, and that vibration gets introduced into the ear canal, and then if the ear is open, that vibration comes out the ear quite normally. But when we fit you with hearing devices, we often use a custom ear mold, and that occludes the ear canal a little more than normal. Your own voice, the vibrations of your own voice that get introduced in the ear canal then can't escape the ear canal as easily. We always make kind of a plan for that, but it's very hard to get that right the first go without any feedback. The sound then reflects back from the mold into your ear, and you perceive it as louder, deeper, boomy, or echoey. That's a very normal effect, and that's normally ironed out by the audiologist in the first couple of sessions. It sometimes involves a modification or a remake of the mold to adjust better to your ear canal and how you perceive it, because everyone is completely different here. And it's completely normal for an audiologist and hearing care professional to spend a fair bit of time on that to make sure that we avoid that occlusion effect as much as possible. And that is usually very much achievable. The second reason you may hearing your voice differently is that you're actually hearing your voice more accurately again. If you haven't heard parts of your own voice clearly for many years, this new version of your voice can feel wrong in the beginning, even though it's closer to how your voice really sounds like. You're just not used to it anymore. Most people would say in that situation it's tinny, it's raspy, echoey, metallic, or lispy. All of that is good news, actually, because it just means that your ears now deliver a lot more clarity and speech detail, but the brain just hasn't normalized that yet. What really helps here is time and the consistent wearing of your hearing devices. What you can do to find out and to help is, if you have that ear mold and you feel like you're boomy, maybe lift the ear mold out just a millimeter or 2 and read a sentence like the quick brown fox and things like that, and see if your own voice sounds better. Put it in, see if that changes. All that information is actually really helpful for the audiologist to see. Now, what helps getting used to your own voice is actually reading out aloud for like a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes a day, or making even short phone voice messages to hear your own voice and normalize how you sound. One key, and I really want to stress that, is to tell your clinician exactly what you are hearing, because we can make that journey so much easier for you over time if you tell us exactly what you're hearing. Now, let's get to some realistic expectations for the first week or even for the first few weeks, because that is where some people get stuck. So I just want to be very clear here. What hearing aids can and what they can't do. What hearing aids actually can do is improve access to speech sounds that you've been missing. It can reduce the listening effort so that you have less fatigue during conversations after a little while of using them. And it can improve the felt connection between one and another in these one-on-one conversation. Hearing aids can significantly improve the awareness and safety outdoors. And it can very often help tinnitus feel a lot less prominent. What hearing aids can't do is remove all background noise completely, even though you may read that in marketing materials of hearing aids that they remove background noise, and they can do that to a degree, but not completely. Hearing aids can't make every single voice crystal clear instantly in every single environment. And it can't reverse the auditory deprivation that your brain has undergone for years, maybe overnight. It can't do that. It also can't replace good communication habits in difficult listening situations. Hearing aids are extremely powerful tools, but they are not magic. The success formula that I often use is the device plus a best practice fitting plus a good follow-up journey and consistent wear time is what gets us to really good results. And in my clinic, one of the most efficient predictors of success is not actually the brand or type of hearing aid, it's the process and how it gets fitted. A good outcome usually needs a correct and detailed assessment and goal setting of what you want to get out of the hearing aids. Then it needs correct fitting and programming and verification to prescriptive targets, with at least 2 to 3 follow-up appointments to fine-tune and check on the devices over the first 6 weeks to get them to a level where they really work well. And then it needs consistent wear time every day, I say at least 80% of the day, and step-by-step exposure to real environments, not just jump into everything straight away. If you wear hearing aids only when you need them or when you think you need them, the brain doesn't get consistent practice. Like half the time it's hearing like it has heard in the last few years, and then half the time it hears much clearer, and the brain is getting confused. What is normal here? It's a little bit like going to the gym once every 2 weeks and expecting fantastic fitness. It's just not going to work. So now I want to give you a quick first week best outcome kind of checklist. And it's a very simple checklist just for the first week. The first thing I want you to do is wear them daily as much as you can, ideally from getting up to getting to bed, with the exceptions of shower, working with power tools, dirty and dusty environments. Sometimes you may need to build that up gradually, the hours throughout the day. Start in a quiet environment and then add complexity. So from home, in a small dinner group, and then to a coffee shop, for example. Really important is write down the 3 situations that you want to improve. Make note of any discomfort, that's really, really important, issues with your own voice perception or overly sharp sounds in the environment. Book your appointment, your follow-up appointment if you haven't done so, and attend that follow-up. Don't skip it. There should be 2 or 3 of them. Be patient with speech and noise. It usually is the last thing to improve, but it will get better over time. Now, if you're just getting started with hearing aid, give yourself a fair chance. Give yourself a fair go. The first week is about getting your brain back into the game, kind of collecting the right feedback from you so your hearing care professional can fine-tune the settings for your real day-to-day life. Now, if you're in the Castle Hill area, northwest Sydney, and you like help with your hearing aid fittings or adjustments or just understanding what to expect, in that case, you can happily reach out to us at Ear Studio. And if you found that helpful, have a look at the other videos on this channel, because hearing success is always a journey, and there are a lot of videos on that particular topic. It's never just a single appointment that gives us success. Now, if you're in other areas in Australia, there's actually a provider finder on hearingup.com.au which points you to individual clinics around Australia committed to best practice principles. If you've got any questions, as usual, leave them in the comments below or send me an email. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, wish you all the best. Bye-bye.